new seeds, which is why we're doing all our inputs. So the famine won't be there, but we do see that the crop this year will definitely be smaller than in previous years, maybe down 15% even. We do see that as a result of this, food insecurity is going to be much higher in very many areas than before. And we will see that undernourishment is going to
definitely
increase.
Nutrition is a major issue, but a related, you see, aspect is livestock.
Yes.
Quite a lot of livestock has been destroyed, and in
Yes.
fact, we didn't have enough animal for the people to sacrifice this year.
Yes. Yes.
Besides affording them. So, in fact, livestock has been a source of livelihood for most of the people.
Oh yes, most certainly, and it's critical. The livestock is, as I said before, it's the savings of people, and it's the livelihood of many people for both milk and meat and hides and many other things. But they're also the draft animals that you need to plow the fields.
Absolutely.
And if you can't plow the fields, you can't sow the next crop. So the animals are a crucial part of the agriculture sector, and we do see that there's going to be long-term problems as a result of
any
of
plans?
the
Any plans to address this problem?
And that is why we are providing animal feed for the winter to supplement what is there. But we're also providing veterinary services, and in some places we might do some restocking. But that is a much bigger question and has to be planned out. For the moment, we're focusing our efforts on the wheat season and also planning on the next planting season that is going to come after the wheat season. And we're looking for alternative crops in those areas where we cannot plant now. But as you point out, parallel to that, the livestock situation is very serious for very many people because they lost everything they own.
Right.
And it's very important for the whole livelihood.
How do you look at the habitat situation as far as, I mean, one aspect is roofs over their head. How about what Stacey was talking about, the schools, colleges, and workplaces? Are you also looking into that for rebuilding?
No, we are looking mostly at what is the habitat of the family level, which include the water and sanitation.
Okay.
Yeah, so the water part is the very important, as you might know. No, there
including
is
wash?
Yeah, including wash, with the wash cluster partner as well. In many places in Punjab, you know that the water table has changed, so the water supply through hand pumps or dug wells need to be deepened, the hand pumps, clean the dug wells. In Sindh, the situation is worst because the water has always been with a lot of salt, different component. In the southern part is arsenic, so there are problems which were previous to the floods, which has been definitely worsened by the flood itself. And we are looking also at the sanitation. So let's say the part of hygiene and the use of latrine, all the management of the different excreta at the human settlement level. So the roof is one component. As I told you, the approach is to find a way that it can enable people to be more resilient in the construction as well. We know very well that wherever people go back, and this is applied also in Sindh, no? There's different villages where the land is dry already, people is going back, and they will start very soon to make their own shelters, no?
Okay.
Whether there is support or not. The challenge is to see how you can ensure that information on a better, most flood-resistant construction can be done. Besides the first room, which will be built to allow the family to come back, there are other rooms that the people normally build in their own houses.
That's a very important point you have made, that we should be futuristic, because this area is prone to emergencies, and we must look ahead.
Exactly. This is what it should be, and we are trying wherever we are working to convey already messages of what they should do to improve foundation, to improve plinth, to improve latrine. The latrine part also, no? Different area, they have different water level table, different contamination, and all is related.
Okay.
No?
We're actually coming to the end of the program.
Yeah, one important thing
please.
Which we have seen, and I just wanted to underline the fact that people is moving from the camps and they're returning. Often that is at the cost of their own animal, because they don't have resources. So this is another way that this livestock is depleted. No,
yes.
They have to use the saving.
They're also their main means of transportation.
Mainly, they sell it to go back. They sell it to build their house, no? Their own shelter. We have seen where we work that even if we give some assistance, people is very much keen to add more, and they sell the cow, no? If they want to buy or if they want to make the room bigger.
It's part of their savings.
And also the animals are sold at way too low prices.
Absolutely. Because people are desperate.
This is a big problem also, and it's depleting the stocks and the livelihoods of the possible livelihood when they return to their homes.
Yeah, so, and that is also related to the Vatican card.
Yes.
The people is not very aware how to use it, how to cash.
Unfortunately.
I think you might have discussed this already.
Yes.
That somebody
in other programs, but people are being educated, and various government media is trying to educate the people, but it is a serious problem. As we are coming to the end of the program, I would like to have a final word from you, and if you could briefly just touch the funding situation.
Yes, and I just want to thank my colleagues for highlighting these important elements, because I think the water and sanitation cannot be underestimated how important it is and how it affects, as well as the livelihoods and the returns, and getting people back on their feet and moving home as soon as possible. The funding situation, well, given the scope and scale of this disaster, which is quite incredible, that it spans 1/5 of Pakistan, affecting, as we've stated, nearly 20 million people. It's remarkable at how large this is, and with that response we need to have an immense amount of funding and resources to be able to address these needs. So the United Nations and its partners have an emergency response plan that was recently presented with the National Disaster Management Authority a couple of weeks ago as a united way to show that the support and working together. And that is for nearly $2 billion, so $1.93 billion. Right now we are only at 45% of that funding. That's about $873 million. And with about $6 million in pledges. So we have a long way to go.
So we're still very short. Okay, so viewers, with that we come to the end of this discussion. We have concluded, and especially Anna Maria told us, and the others have also endorsed, that the people themselves have been resilient and their efforts need to be acknowledged. But I would personally like to acknowledge all those people, especially who came from abroad and the United Nations, to the aid of the people in their moment of distress. It is remarkable because it revives our strength, and it revives the feeling that humanity still prevails. With that, I would like to thank you, Stacey, for your time, Emmanuel, Jules, and Anna Maria. Viewers, see you next week, inshallah, on another episode. Please send us your comments at defenseanddiplomacy@ptv.com.pk. Allah Hafiz.